Fanboy and the Snob. I'm Chad,
Chris.
and today we are talking about Osmosis Jones 2.
The little known sequel to the smash 2001 hit Osmosis Jones,
You can also find a review of the first movie on the channel.
right?
How this movie started.
Oh boy, this movie starts atypical. Frank is on a plane. He's going to go visit Austin because his daughter is attending Austin College, a private liberal arts school in the heart of Austin, I assume.
Or so you're a liberal arts student.
Yeah, and they do the most basic like exposition dump possible. Like it starts like first class, like the movie starts solo shot of the plane, right? You see the plane and it's like whatever, Southwest Airlines or whatever. And then it zooms in from the cockpit, right? And you pass the pilots and they're doing the gay bullshit. And then you see people in first class sipping champagne, and then you see business class, then you see coach, and it's still going back. And the further back you get, you can see people getting pissed off. And then finally it gets to Frank, who's literally sitting in the very back of the plane, dead center. Don't know if those seats exist. It's a movie. Go fuck yourself. And he's on his phone, on speakerphone, eating like carrots out of a baggie, going, yeah, Bob, for sure. For sure, I'll be back for the farmer's market, 100%. No, we got to get that meat on sale. Trust me. No. I'm just going to go visit my daughter in college. She's in college now. You know, it's the exposition dump, blah, 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 blah. It's super annoying. Some fucking 2000, like, some R&B's playing in the background, like Destiny's Child or something. Right? And then right? It's fucking... But they're trying to set the tone, I guess. You know, it's 2013. It's not exactly out of the dumb R&B time scale, but it's not exactly there yet. So cuts to the plane landing. Frank steps out and it does that low shot with the the Texas sun, and he's all sweaty and gross because Bill Murray's gonna look sweaty and gross in this movie. Gets in a taxi cab. We do the who directed Shaun of the Dead? Simon Pegg, quick, like wham,
Okay, right?
quick, those quick cuts
Yeah.
where it's like coffee pot in, coffee pot out, kind of that stuff. And then it cuts to him standing in front of room 19, and he goes, "Don't." Which then it cuts to the daughter. It's the shower with the bar across it and the towel, so you can't actually see her naked. And who is it? And then somehow he hears her and she hears him.
Oh.
It's me, your dad, Frank. You're my daughter, or whatever fucking exposition line he says. And then she goes, I'm in the shower, but I'll be out in a second. Come on in, which is creepy because it's the father-daughter relationship. So doors
Doors dressed before.
Yeah.
No, but then the door opens. He walks into the apartment.
Walks into the kitchen.
First thing he sees is a nice plate of sushi on the counter.
Amazing sashimi, like the salmon is cut so thin, and you can tell whoever made it really well. And I don't know if you know this, but Austin actually has some pretty decent sushi restaurants. So it's probably some, like, I know Nobu, right? That place in California. I know they've expanded. I assume they're in Texas. So he walks up to the sashimi, grabs it, little dip in the soy, swallows it whole, doesn't even goddamn chew. Daughter walks in, goes, oh, gross, I left this on the counter, throws it out. Oh, I got that 2 nights ago. And then Frank goes, oop. And then Nas starts playing or something like that. I don't know rap music. And it does the cool CGI, like, follow the sushi down his throat scene.
All right, and this is where we get our first appearance of Frank's tum-tum.
Frank's tummy. It goes straight to that weird, clear thing, the offload, onload.
No, you're forgetting about the scene when it tries to go down the throat, and there's all the fucking...
Oh, the mouth and the dam and stuff like that. Yeah,
so they have like their whole like upgraded defense system.
Because after what happened with Thrax,
I don't call him Thrax.
Drax is Guardians.
Yeah. After what happens with Thrax, they upgraded it. So all the stuff...
At Ozzy's request, because Ozzy is now a hero. But we'll reveal that later. Sorry. I like this movie.
So you see like the thing trying to go down the throat, and all of a sudden the torrents, right? That's what they're called. The gun things that react to
gun emplacement.
The gun placement.
Don't make up a word.
That thing starts shooting at him, and one little piece If the thing slivers
Well-
down and gets through it.
They shoot all like the obvious ugly germs, right?
Yeah, but then you had that one that's like,
Well, it lands. The whole piece of sushi lands in the stomach, and it's like, you know, remember the joke when because it's a butt station in the stomach, right? Basically, and it says diarrhea inbound in the sushi land. You know, like you knew what it like. They tried to clean it, but they're like, this shit's getting the fuck out right now.
nasty.
But so there were some like germs deemed livable, right? So, you know, not all germs are bad. Some of them get off that piece of sushi.
So was it like a friggin' filtering system, you could say?
Well, I mean, isn't that what your digestive system is?
I don't know. I'm not a fucking
Biologist?
bodyologist.
Bodyologist. Chad did not study bodyology. Yeah, so, you know, the goods pieces, you know, to mother, dog. Yeah, they're all like Japanese immigrant stereotypes, because, come on. It's sushi. And this movie does not hold back on the racism. The original, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what was the one, the shady one with the cloak?
It was probably like maybe like 3 feet shorter than all the other ones, and just did the whole thing where it just like kind of put its head down, kind of like snuck around. Then it would go up, and after it got through, and you see like the little go through.
Yeah, the almost reminiscent of Lawrence Fishburne's Thrax, like that. And
But not as badass. Right.
no, and the
Looks
teeth are a little
badass.
cleaner.
Yeah. Kind of tried to rip off maybe not the Cheshire. That's even too dramatic.
No, well, that's what Thrax is ripping off, is the
Yeah.
Cheshire cat, which is a rip off of no.
That's a rip off.
So then, right, because the piece got through, and because there's some immigrants, and because Ozzy is kind of like he's the police chief, right? Pretty much, like he may not have the position of police
Chief of police. You said police and chief.
whatever. You know what I mean, though. Like the police, the chief of police, kind of like looks to Ozzy for direction. Like he's a lieutenant, but he's not the guy in charge. Like he doesn't deal with the bureaucracy because you can't put him in front of a fucking camera.
Yeah, but he's gotten a little too comfortable because he's like.
So he basically runs the infectious disease unit, right? So he gets the call that, hey, compromised piece of food has entered the system. What do you want to do about it? Send Clark and Davis, and he hangs up the phone.
And then
It's revealed that he has divorced because he did get married to the secretary lady. We keep calling her Brandy, but I don't think it's her. And he starts hitting on his secretary in typical hair slick back, like, "Ooh, girl, you look good." And she just turns him down because it's fucking Ozzy, right?
She didn't even take him seriously. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, Ozzy.
Oh, Ozzy. And then it cuts to Davis and Cooper or whatever. Davis and Clark, sorry. And
This is where it gets ridiculous.
so they're doing the typical, like, remember when Thrax first showed up, like Ozzy went down to investigate and he was like, "Man, this ain't right. Like, there's something wrong here." They're rookie. They're like, "Yeah, everything's fine."
Yeah, but then they do the whole thing where they call on the guy. What's his name? Ozzy. Wow.
Yeah.
What the main character's
I
name?
know, you forgot the fucking main character.
They call up Ozzy. They're like, "Yeah, I don't think Danny's in here." And right as they hang up,
They do the turnaround.
yeah, and he notices that his partner's not there anymore. So he's like, "What happened?"
Yeah. And then he turns the corner to find his partner kind of doing like the Blair Witch thing.
Ugh.
And he's like, "What's up, dude?" And or not dude, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Turns
then he
around.
turns around and
he goes, "I want to make Frank great again." And he touches him. And then he goes, "I want to make Frank great again." And then someone steps out of the shadows, our hooded figure, takes her cloak off,
super hot animated.
orange hair, goes, "We're going to make Frank great again."
Get
Intro
great.
credits.
Get great.
Yeah.
It would be better if they said get great.
Oh, I think that's yeah. Intro credit. You know,
So now we go back to Frank in the real world.
and he's shitting his brains out on a toilet.
And the whole time he's like, "Yeah, honey, it's okay. We're
No.
Sec."
Wadding up toilet
It's like
paper.
Friday with the dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's sitting on the toilet, like leaning, trying to open the window, and can't quite get it in typical Bill Murray fashion. And then the daughter goes, "Well, I mean, I gotta go to class. Bye, Dad." And she leaves. And he goes, oh, and then we go up his ass into the bowels, and we see the sushi and Mayor, who is the no, what's his head got ejected out of the bowels at the end of the first one. So it wasn't him; it was Kalanick then.
Yeah.
Mayor Kalanick, since he's been replaced by Ozzy's girlfriend, is shoveling shit, and it's a callback to the first joke. He presses the button, gets sucked out. Because come on, that's funny.
And this is like a crazy one of those like mining scenes where they're like furiously just like digging, trying to get everything out of it.
I think honestly they were doing a tribute to the animated Hobbit movies, because like it almost sounded like the song like "Where There's a Whip, there's a way," but instead they were like "Where there's a shit, double away." You know, they were kind of doing that. You know, like it was almost like that. So yeah, it goes up, and he gets a quick cameo, right? And then it goes back up the intestines into the main city of Frank. And Ozzy's sitting there, and he's like bored out of his mind. He's doing the Fox Mulder thing where he's throwing pencils into the ceiling because like he saved the world. What did I say? This movie came out in 2013. The first one came out in 2011. So he saved the world 12 years ago.
Yeah.
He's fucking bored out of his mind. And then he's literally just sitting there tapping, and then someone walks in and goes, Ozzy, your ex-wife is on the line, some deputy or whatever. And he goes, I don't want to hear that. And then another officer walks in and goes, we haven't heard from Clark and Davis. And he goes, I gotta, because he doesn't, no, yeah. I'm sorry, it wasn't his wife is on the line. It's your ex-wife is here. And then he gets the phone call that says Clark and Davis are missing, and he doesn't want to talk to his ex-wife because like it's fairly obvious he's the one that fucked the relationship up. So, no, I gotta deal, you know, like, and he does the thing where he turns around in the chair and he's huddling with the phone to like hide from her, right? What does she say?
She comes in trying to be like, there's something going on, blah, 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 blah. And then he's just like, oh.
She asked him about the sushi, like, hey, it's been a while since Frank did something like that.
Yeah.
What's going on your end? I guess I was sleeping at the controls and I let his impulse control go away, you know?
Yeah.
Like she comes down to figure out what's going on. And the way she does it is she tries to like be diplomatic and take the blame, which then Ozzy uses to be like, chair flipped around like, oh, what do you know? You fucked up again. And it's like, Ozzy, you don't get what's happening here, man. Why you got to be such a macho dude? Right? So they have that little tiff back and forth, and she leaves frustrated, and he sits there frustrated. And what's the joke at the end of that scene? Coffee pot. Remember the guy walks in and she slams, he goes, coffee pot, and she slams the door and shatters the pot, and he goes, oh. Remember that?
Sure.
You suck at this.
Sounds a bitch.
That's the point, Chad. You're just supposed to say things, remember?
All right, redo that one.
Okay. Yeah, so he spins around in the chair and he's like, oh, you know, you were slipping at your job. Well, maybe if, you know, you said I was always slipping, but here you are. And he does that dumb thing where he tries to rationalize like the fact that the relationship died because of him, but he's trying to blame it on her. And then she turns around to storm off and she slams the door and they do that great joke.
Yeah, as soon as she tries to slam the door, the guy with a freaking coffee pot walks in, she bashes it, and he's like, oh.
All over him because, you know.
It's the assistant of.
Yeah, it's Ozzy's assistant that he's been hitting on. She's been like an airhead this whole time, you know. It's that dumb joke. It's that dumb joke we all know. And then we lead to the villain.
And probably one of the, I don't know, I guess it works for the time. They go into the room where you have like there's probably like 10 of them in there right now that she's following.
Yeah, and they all get the big, you know.
Dookie computer. And they're all in Frank book. And she has all of them spreading like kind of, what would you call it? Like propaganda?
Well, any information spread politically is propaganda.
Yeah.
But it was more like they weren't lying, but they weren't telling the truth. You know, they were given the half truths and false lies, if that makes any sense to you. All about how the mayor is doing a bad job. Like, sure, we've had 12 years of peace, but could be better. Am I right? You know, kind of things. Anyway. And then it cuts to the villain. and she's in like your typical like staffer room. It's got all her
Uh,
political posters all around because it is an election year.
and she has like it's pretty much like the very low budget kind of what's it called politician having like the 10
Yeah,
people in a room.
sleeves rolled up, ties a little loose. Well, yeah, she wears a tie, right? She was wearing a tie.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was wearing a tie, and her tie's a little loose, and her hair's a little unkempt, and she's just walking around. She walks, good, good, you're doing good. And then it hands into on the computer, and the guy is typing, Mayor Brandy. I always forget her fucking name. Mayor Brandy sucks at her job, and they're like posting like things, even though like for the past 12 some odd years it's been fine.
and what did they call it? Freaking Frank book,
Frank Book, I think, is what they were doing. Frank Book or Frank Space or something
stupid
like
that.
yeah,
That's
it's
all it
some Frankton instead of LinkedIn, something stupid like that.
And then
Uh,
right after that scene, it does like the crazy little transition.
where
Everybody gets
people
starts getting.
marching,
No, you're forgetting about everybody getting like just little notifications on their phones and everything.
You're right. It skipped ahead. So it goes. It does. It kind of does the gulp scene where it zooms into the computer, which is not really a computer. It's just kind of like neurons firing, and then it cuts to a cell getting a thing like Mayor Brandy sucks at her job, and then that infects them, and they start thinking Mayor Brandy sucks at her job, and then they grab picket signs and they start picketing, right? And then basically it's turned out, what's her name? Mayor Corda, or not Mayor Corda, but Corda, who's the lady running against Mayor Brandy, isn't what she see. I mean, we saw it, but we didn't really see it because it was in shadow early on. But now it's completely obvious that she's the bad guy. And as opposed to doing what Thrax wanted to do, where Thrax just wanted to kill Frank, it seems like she wants to control Frank.
Yeah, she sees it more of a game and like all that stuff rather than just like wanting to destroy it.
She doesn't want to be in the record books. She wants to be the record book.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And I don't know. So they start doing political rallies. Mayor Brandy's freaking out. Ozzy's still just not giving a shit. And then it's revealed in a scene when Ozzy goes out on patrol. He's driving by like the pristine city, and he's like, "Man, you would have loved this." And he looks over on his dashboard, and it's a photo of Drix, and it says like 2001 to 2007. So Drix died at some point.
Yeah, I don't even think at this point in the movie they actually say what happened to Drake.
They never really say what happened to Drix. It's just kind of like anytime anyone brings up Ozzy, you and your partner, he always gives him a look. So it's like something happened, and we don't really know. But then it cuts to like, so there's been some like, there's been some action scenes here and there, but this is the first big set piece action film when Corda's protesters fight the police.
Yeah,
And it gets like full on like riot cops are spraying them with like I don't know, toothpaste, not toothpaste because it would have to be involved. You know what I mean?
antacid.
Antacid or something. Like naturally occurring antacids, and like the rioters are throwing like inflammation cocktails instead of Molotov cocktails. And they're fighting back and forth. And Ozzy gets up, and he gets up on the thing, and he gives a speech. Remember?
Mm.
And he's like, "What the hell are you kids doing? 12 years ago, I brought us back from the brink of death, and you're bringing us there now."
And the best thing part is the whole speech is him pretty much just like thanking himself. And
Yeah, he's being like self-aggrandizing, and he's like, "I did so great, I did this," and then someone from the crowd goes, "Yeah, but what'd you do for me?" And then the riot starts again, and Ozzy gets hit in the head with a bottle and sent to the hospital.
That's when he blacks out.
And he's pretty much out of the film for a good 20 minutes. And it just becomes about Mayor Brandy and Corda. And it cuts to Mayor Brandy being like, "Our top cop's out. There's riots everywhere. What do we do?" And what does she do?
She gets killed. She does the thing. Remember in the first one of what they call it, where they take over the full body.
Yeah, they take control
And
because
pretty
everyone
much,
around everyone around her telling her not to do it.
Yeah.
And it worked last time she did it. So she waits for everyone to leave the room.
So she takes over. This is when the daughter finally comes home, and Frank's pretty much just laying in the bathroom, like exhausted from just shitting all
He's
night.
sitting in a tub with empty beer cans floating next to him, just like, oh. That scene was great.
So the daughter walks in and freaks out, and he's like,
I'm fine. I'm just not used to the dry climate. You know how he makes excuses.
And he's just like, I just can't stop pooping.
She goes, here's some Imodium. And he takes the Imodium, and that's when we met Edie.
Edie.
Little purple pill. Uh, honestly, and I don't really want to say this, but dude, it's just Drix, but a woman. Like, it's all the same beat. She shows up and she's like, "Oh, according to my blah blah blah, I can only be here for 24 hours. Take 3 or 4 more if you know." Like, she's doing all of Drix's story beats.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, yo, you could have created a new character, but instead you killed Drix and gender swapped. It's just. I mean, I make that complaint constantly when it comes to fucking movies. Like, just make a new character. Don't fucking gender or race swap. It's so fucking stupid. But anyway, yeah, she basically does what Drix does. She goes to the nose, checks it out, goes to the stomach, checks it out. Fucking nothing. And then the mayor's like, well, you know, maybe you should go see Ozzy. And she's like, where's Ozzy? And the mayor's like, I don't know. Cut to Ozzy in the hospital. Ozzy's just waking up. He's like, what the, you know, what did they say? What the phlegm or whatever?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And he's like, what the phlegm happened? And he's got like a black eye and his bloody nose. And that's when Edie walks in.
And that's when.
And he sees Edie as Drix first. Because he sees the red, not the
There's
purple.
the color scheme.
Yeah,
and
he's like,
it's all blurred.
He's like, Drix? Drix, is that you, buddy? They didn't get you? Or something like that.
And then he sees, like, his vision goes up and he sees, like, a kind of attractive girl walking in. So
And
he does that whole.
Licks the hair back.
He does that whole thing like, oh, how may I help you?
And then, my name is Edie. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, not again. And then it cuts to the villain.
Yes. And then the camera pans down and it goes through a crowd of, looks like thousands of people. And all of a sudden you see, what's her name? Corda?
It does that cool, like, CGI, like, I guess, balcony shot where it comes down and then up to the stage, if you will.
Yeah, is it Corda?
Yeah, Corda.
You see Corda on the stage in the middle of a speech demanding the people. And what does she say?
Her portrait's behind her, and she says, we have to do, there's more work in Frank that needs to be done. And everyone starts cheering, and I won't stop until my mission's accomplished, you know. Okay, anyway, so she gives this whole speech about how there's still work that needs to be done in Frank, and we can't rest on Ozzy's laurels, and I mean, where is he now? You know, where's Ozzy now? He ain't here, is he? Cut to Ozzy, or not cut to Ozzy, but we know Ozzy's in the hospital. Yeah, so she's giving her big old speech, and then she says, we gotta take it from the rallies to the streets. We gotta organize and stuff like that. Even though they already have been rioting, but now before the riot was like 30 people, you know, in one neighborhood, one poor neighborhood near the ass crack or whatever, where Ozzy came from, which is why Ozzy went there in the first place. And in his speech, he was like, I'm from crack or whatever. Remember the joke? It was a tie-in joke from the first one. But now she's got like people.
Yeah, she has way too many people now that she's doing the whole little infection of the brain thing.
And they have the second, what do they call it? It's not the Second Amendment. It's like the Second Front Amendment. What?
Again,
They worded it it was a way better pun than whatever.
amend rank.
Yeah, it was a way better pun than whatever we're coming up with right now. So the people are arming themselves and marching in the streets, and the cops are overwhelmed. The white blood cells are overwhelmed, and their best agent, Ozzy, is yeah. So they're riding the streets with guns, and you know, the police are like, "What do we do? Where's Ozzy?" And that's when Edie's like, "Don't worry, I've been prescribed to handle this situation." And she goes in and she's the first one to shoot a protester, right?
Out of a panic.
Like, not even out of a panic. She just rolls up and is like, boom! And everyone's like, no, you know? And then,
when she kind of has a breakdown thinking they were an infection.
Yeah, but they're like, and it just so happens she shoots into the crowd, because that's what you do. You shoot into the center of the disease. She hits a kid. Don't worry, though. It's just the ice bullets. Remember, they unfreeze and like...
Yeah.
But still. So she shoots into the crowd. She hits the kid. The crowd disperses. Corda uses this as an example of the oppressive Brandy regime. And I mean, the kid's fine, of course, but Ozzy's watching it on the news, right? And that's when he's like, I gotta get out of the hospital. And it does that cool chase scene where he's trying to run away from the orderlies and stuff like that. You know, he's like doing like that. He hops over the thing and then he slides under the other thing. And
He
he does.
hides in the closet.
Yeah, he hides in the closet, and then he looks over to his right, and there's a nurse kissing a doctor, and he goes, "Don't mind me," and then he jumps out of the closet. You know.
Chris Rock still nails it.
Yeah. And then he goes to jump out the window and the roll, and then he's gone. And then he shows back up at the police station, and they're like, "What's up?" You know, and he's got the bandage, and he's like, "What's the sitch?" And they basically explain to him everything we just saw. And he's like, "Where's Edie?" And she's at like some saloon in the Bladder. So he goes down to the Bladder, right? To like, 'cause she, you know, she's like, "I killed a kid," or whatever. And he's like, "You do know that sure your ice bullets are," or he doesn't call them ice bullets, but he's like, "Sure your icy relief is fast acting, but it also doesn't last that long." And he shows her the kid, and he's like, "I'm sorry, miss, I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time," or whatever, you know. Like he was just like, "I was just coming back from school. I didn't mean to get caught in that crowd. I didn't want to be there." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry I shot you." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, you helped the community." And she's like, "I love the community." And they hug. Remember? Or something, you know, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. um and then she's like, and then he kind of is like, he's like, "I want you to have this." And he gives her a badge, and she's like, "Oh, you're deputizing me?" And he's like, "Yeah, for now." And she goes, "But that ain't my name, and we know what bag it was,
Yeah.
but they don't tell us." And the whole time this scene's happening on the TV, we see more riots and chaos.
So this is the part where they have like this cheesy little montage of all the what's it called, the officers and them getting ready.
Yeah, it shows the cops gearing up with weapons. It shows the protesters, you know, loading Molotovs. It shows Brandy in her office answering phones and like sign, and then it cuts to Corda like looking at a map of Frank as her like whatever controls it. Um,
Then it cuts back to Frank.
yeah,
And at
yeah,
this point, once again, like in the first movie, he's sitting there, super fever, waiting for the ambulance to come and get him.
yeah, right.
Because the daughter's freaking out. She's on the phone with Bob, being like, "What's he been doing lately? Blah blah blah. Has he been sticking
Bob's
to his
like-
diet?"
Bob's
Because
like-
this is when the daughter thinks he's been going back to the fatty food.
Right, and it cuts to Bob, and where's Bob?
Well, Bob's at McDonald's.
Bob's at McDonald's.
Well, not McDonald's, but you know what it is.
You know, Whack Arnold's or whatever. And
Whack
the Chappelle Show reference, or McDouglas or whatever it was.
when you're keeping it real.
Yeah. We got a job. They put their hoods on and go jumping. Yeah, so it cuts to him in McDonald's, right? Obviously, and he's got like 6 fillet of fish, 6 Big Macs, like a pound of fries. This is the corporate tie-in, obviously. He's drinking a Pepsi, even though they have a tie-in with Coke, but whatever. I guess Coke didn't want to buy into the movie. Mound of fries, and he like at the beginning of the movie, on speaker, everyone around him's pissed. No, me and your dad, no, we're healthy. Blom, blom, blom. No, trust me, we've been eating nothing but salads. Blom, blom, blom. All right, Uncle Bob. I guess I'll talk to you later. And he goes, "Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Wouldn't it be funny if we got married?" And she goes, "What?" And then he hangs up because it calls back to the joke where they're married and then he looks around like apprehensively. Yeah, that's he says that, hangs up, and then he looks over at like a 9-year-old, goes, "What?" with like fries falling out of his mouth. So after it cuts to Bob, and on the phone, she hangs up and she's like, "That Uncle Bob, huh?" And then it pans over to Bill Murray, and he's sitting in a chair just sweating balls, and he's like, "Oh, my head's killing me. Oh," and she's like, "Drink some water." So he starts pounding water. We follow the water down his throat, and it cuts to literally an army of police and an army of rioters, and it's about to explode, right? I mean, right? Isn't that pretty much what happens? That's pretty much what happens next.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, what's her name? The mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Brandy is she phones up Ozzy because she's there, and she's like, "What do we do?" And Ozzy's like, he's in the bladder with what's her Edie,
Mm.
and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll be there in a minute. Make sure nothing happens." And we see this cool scene where Ozzy's like fucking like zipping through traffic, trying to get there as fast as he can, and he's getting there, and he's getting there, and he's running up this hill, and all you can hear is screaming and yelling, and you're like, "No, no, they're killing each." And he gets to the top of the hill, and what's happening? Corda's standing on a soapbox, and she's convincing everyone around her that she is what's best for Frank. In fact, she's such a good person that she doesn't want violence, and she's willing to have a snap election. Let's just have let's let everyone vote.
This is where she gets to look out. She's like, if I lose,
I'll leave forever.
it all ends.
And you know what? Brandy going. I see you. I see you for what you. She even called her a germ. She called her a germ, and that pisses some people off. But she's right. She's right. Fucking we know Corda's a germ.
Yeah.
Calls Corda a germ. Says, fine, I'll agree to your elections, germ. And even Ozzy's like, eee, when she says that.
That's where he pulls her aside. And this is where he gives like the little stupid speech where he's like, you know what you're doing.
You need to, when they go low, you go high, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't stoop to their level. Bullshit.
And this is where he gets nervous. Like, are you sure you can win this? Blah,
And
blah,
she's,
blah.
and she's like, I led this city for 12 years, 3 elections, and I ain't been voted out yet. I got this. And then again, fucking lazy script writing, another montage. We see everyone voting.
And then they have the giant monitor up on top because, of course, they're going to show
They're at the
percentages.
Mayor Brandy's
full
headquarters
pictures.
is in like the civic center, you
Yeah.
know. So
So they have the giant monitor showing all like those like percentages and everything. It's going back and forth, back and forth.
what was the name of that 3-eyed alien? Because I forget his name because he got like 1% of the vote. Remember the multiple like little alien guy that he freezes at the beginning, right? I guess they showed his picture for a second and said he had 1%. I don't know if you noticed that. I noticed that. I thought that was a funny joke. I thought that was a funny joke. Yeah, it was just kind of like, hey, remember that
It was a
character?
throwaway joke.
Yeah, exactly. Like the animator or someone just threw that in there for the fucking hell of it. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. So it's back and forth, you know, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, do, 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 do. Someone forgot to vote. Ozzy votes wrong. Mayor Corda wins. He clicked the wrong fucking button because the hot chick walked by. Ozzy blew it. Mayor Corda is now running Frank, and she's doing a great job. And it's fucked up because like crime is off the streets. Everyone is, oh, hello, how are you? Like they're very uniform, almost zombie-like.
Kind of turns into what the fuck's that movie called? They Live type thing.
Yeah, dude, you're exactly right, dude. It totally turns into a They Live thing. Where like it seems like a normal functioning body, but I can't believe I love that movie and I didn't put that together.
I do want to talk about that movie one day.
Yeah, so it cuts to like a very like lo-fi, like sad rap beat, like what you said it was DMX, right?
Yeah, it was the Rough Riders anthems. He died. Can we still get sued?
Yes, absolutely. We can get sued by his estate.
Joke. You know
one of his 30 kids.
You know what song we're getting at.
And
it's that thing where all of a sudden the Chiefs are rising up, and then you see out of nowhere there's this underground group that comes.
No, you're skipping the whole like scenes of like the city of Frank cleaning up.
You just talked about it.
Right, but it's like what I mean is like it's cleaning up. It's better than it's ever run before. Then it zooms out, and Frank's in like he like 180s. He's like, I'm feeling better. Holy shit, you know, like I feel better. What do you want to do today? And she's like, oh, I thought we go to the park. He goes, the park sounds amazing. And he goes to the park with her, and he starts sneezing, and he's like, oh, it must be my allergies, you know. And he's just walking around sneezing constantly. She's like, what's wrong? He's like, I guess I'm just not used to this Austin thing. Zooms back in. Fucking Mayor Corda is a cordyceps fucking fungal infection that managed to work her way to the goddamn brain. and has taken over Frank and is now spreading her spores from person to person by making Frank a more active person, right? Because she took over the brain, it's now spreading the disease. And it's pushed people like Brandy, who's a free thinker, Ozzy, a free thinker, underground. The little weird Mexican guy with a bunch of eyes,
No.
underground. I don't think he's actually. I thought I saw him in like the cast, like remember the mafia dom that gets killed? He's like, you ain't shit. Like you see his character, and then it cuts to end credits. And it's like, damn, dude, Ozzy 2 ended on such a dour note.
Yeah, but you forgot about the whole how Ozzy gets down into the or the secret rebellion type thing.
The resistance.
The resistance.
Antifa.
La resistance.
Viva la resistance. Anyway.
No, that was
Dude, they totally stole that from South Park now that I think about it. That was totally a ripoff of the South Park movie. But anyway, yeah, continue.
No, it's the whole scene when he's in the office and everybody's acting all weird and he's just like,
yeah, he's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
He's kind of like, this ain't right. And then he goes and he tries to like hail a taxi and he sees like little eyes on him here and there. And he's like, I'm feeling paranoid. Like, what's going on? Doing what Chris Rock does.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets in the taxi door opens and somebody grabs him. And that's
get in here.
That's
and then it
where
cuts.
the scene ends.
Well, yeah, it cuts and then it cuts to him in like a dank basement with his mask getting ripped off and he's like, who are you guys? And it's like
low shadow from behind.
And it's like, don't worry about it. And then it shows you. Hold on, no, you don't see the silhouette from behind yet. I can't
remember his name.
You don't see the silhouette from behind yet, but you see the cast of characters from like the first movie, right? Like all like the random characters, and you're like, oh shit.
Chris Rock as Ozzy going, what is that cherish stank?
And the camera 180s to Ozzy and into the light.
You see Drix, and he just looks down, says, Bethel agent. Drixobenzomethamphetamine.
He says,
whatever the name is.
No, he says Drixobenzomethamphetamine. Remember when he first walks in?
Yeah.
It's like a callback to that first movie, and then you go, oh, fuck, Drix ain't dead, and then, come on, baby, if you want to ride with me, and then it ends. It fucking ends. It's such a good, and then, it leads into the third one, and we all know what happens in the third one. So, like, for a middle movie.
The third one definitely stepped up the ante on the bunch.
The third one stepped up the violence.
Yeah. This is when it got like later 2000s where things started getting dark and gritty.
Yeah, like post Saving Private Ryan, where they're like, let's just have real fucked up shit.
The thing that really did it was Batman Begins, where they're like, gritty. But let us know if you like this movie. Let us know when you saw this.
Yeah,
how old were you when you saw this?
We were young when we saw that.
Yeah,
it was like one of the first times we hung out, and I rented it back when Redbox had Well, Redbox has always had kiosks. This was back when Netflix used to do mail out bullshit. Remember that?
Yeah.
And the fucking
DVD,
the fucking DVD was scratched, and we had to like fucking pause it and fast forward. And we missed some scenes because it kept fucking stuttering. So we do like the 5-second, So we missed some lines here and there. Don't blame us for missing lines here and there. It's not our fucking fault. So, I mean, I really dug this movie. It's not as good as the first. Nothing ever is.
It's not as good as the third.
Not as good as the third.
You can't even say it is.
I can't. I really can't. The third was amazing. But the second one was in the canon. Okay, in the Osmosis Jones canon, there's no bad movie. But this is definitely the weakest of the three.
I still think it's hilarious that they don't take the animated show at all into like.
Oh, in fact they show you those two, the male and the female white blood cell characters. They're some of the cops that get killed during the riots. They just like fuck that shit. So yeah, Osmosis Jones 2 Remission is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd probably give it I'd give it a 7.
I mean, if it weren't for the soundtrack, I'd give it an 8 or a 9, but that's just my personal taste. I'm not a fan of R&B and rap, but I would give it, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. 6 or, 7. I'll give it a 7.
It's an easy 7.
It's an easy 7.
It's there. You can watch it and you'll be like, cool, where's the third one? It's like John Wick 2.
Basically, I watched it. Now give me number 3.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you thought about this movie. Thanks for watching.